Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and have you ever kind of just looked up at the sky and embraced the vast spiritual greatness of the universe, just stared at the stars and thought, wow, what an amazing universe we live in? Have you ever done that? Well, if you're in New York, you're going to have to pay for that stargazing you're doing, you filthy criminal. As we have seen out of the 2020 New York permits, according to parks.ny.gov, you're going to need a stargazing permit as of, well, it went into effect on January 1st. This is completely crazy, guys. As it shows here on the government website, stargazing permit requirements, fee of $35, $60 out of state, vehicle registration and driver's license required. Permit allows after sunset parking for stargazing only. Valid January 1st to December 31st, and it shows all the places it's available at. Stargazing permits are only sold on January 1st to March 31st and the Tuesday after Labor Day to December 31st. Well, how convenient. Well, I wanted to go into the story as the Free Thought Project had reported on it, and obviously if you haven't seen the great work of the Free Thought Project, I definitely recommend everyone check them out. They do incredible work. But as they reported on here, it says, state forces citizens to pay for stargazing permit to view night sky in public parks. Yes, really. And as the article goes into, New York, in the land of the free, if you do not pay the state in the form of a permit before you attempt to sell a product or service to a willing customer, you can and will be extorted, kidnapped, and caged with extreme prejudice. While many folks stand behind permits for selling, one permit in New York that has nothing to do with commerce has garnered the scrutiny of the Free Thought Project. If citizens of the state wish to look up at the sky and view the stars at one of New York's public parks, they will first have to obtain a stargazing permit. Seriously. As it continues here, it says, light pollution across the state of New York makes it hard for folks in highly populated areas to view the night sky. So people who wish to gaze upon the stars at night have to drive many miles away to remote areas. Many of these remote areas are located in taxpayer-funded state parks. So you get extorted once and then you get extorted again. Well, how convenient is that? Carrying on, it says, in their efforts to squeeze every dime they can from the tax farm, bureaucrats in New York have devised a scheme to extort citizens who wish to use public parks to gaze upon the night sky. This extortion comes in the form of a $35 stargazing permit. If you are from out of state and wish to gaze upon the night sky from one of these locations, that fee jumps to $60. If you think that you will do anything else besides look at the night sky with this permit, think again. Within this regulation, bureaucrats explicitly point out that the permit allows after sunset parking for stargazing only, valid January 1st to December 31st. And you can see again the permit there. Carrying on, it says, but that's not all. If you want to bring your metal detector to any of these parks, there's a permit for that too. It's $40 to passively scan the ground and search for lost metal. Seems legit. When conducting a news search on Google for a stargazing permit, we couldn't find any articles calling out this ridiculous assault on liberty, so we decided to take up that task ourselves. We did find a discussion on Twitter, however, in which Neil deGrasse Tyson even chimed in. And you can see Neil deGrasse Tyson's tweet there. No, back in the day, you didn't need permission to look up at the sky. You know it's bad when Neil deGrasse Tyson, an ultra-socialist, is saying maybe, just maybe, this is a bit too much government, perhaps. As it continues here, it says, we should also point out the obvious limits this places on underprivileged residents who may have to choose between $35 in groceries versus paying the state to look up at the stars in a public park. While $35 may not seem like that much to some folks, to others, it's the difference between sleeping with the heat on or freezing. It also serves to drastically limit the imagination and discovery of those who are unable to pay for the permit by disallowing them to access these remote, dark areas. And you see a post by Sal, the agorist, at Sally Mayweather there. Carrying on, it says, others are defending the permit in the thread, claiming that it allows people to enter the closed parks after hours. But they are clearly missing the point. If you can enter the park with a permit, then it's not closed at all. It's open to anyone willing to be extorted or who can't afford it. Those who are unable to pay the government or choose not to do so for the exact same activity will be arrested and or further extorted. Now, for the irony and blatant status hypocrisy, if you want to go after dark to look at stars on state land that you paid for through your tax dollars, you have to pay the government more money for a permit. However, if the government wants to take the most sacred land in the state and put a telescope on it to look at the stars, this is fine and dandy. If you try to protest the government's construction of stargazing equipment on your sacred land, you can and will be kidnapped and caged. Case in point, Mauna Kea's summit in the most sacred of all the mountains in Hawaii to many of the indigenous people. In July, when those people showed up to protest the desecration of their land with the 30-meter telescope, dozens were arrested. And I quote, "These lands were taken from us, so we have rights to them," Kaho Okahi Kanuha, an organizer from the Hawaii's Unity and Liberation Institute, a group that opposes construction on Mauna Kea's, says. We have a spiritual connection to them. We have a genealogical connection to them. Well, Kanuha, you didn't have the right permit to claim ownership of the land that was stolen from your people in 1893. Therefore, you are, you know what, out of luck. Now, this is the essence of the state itself. This is peak government. This is the end point of all statism other than starvation and death and poverty. We have much of that right now as it is. But, I mean, this is one of the most broad examples of how incredibly hypocritical the state is. Do-good socialists, leftists, mostly in New York, that say, we're here to help you, we're here to save the poor. They virtue signal and lie to get elected based on how much they care about the poor and impoverished and helping those out that are heavily impoverished. But then they focus on crazy things like, for example, trying to ban sodas and ban smoking on the streets and looking at the sky, looking at the stars, stepping outside into a dark area that they were extorted for in the first place and looking at the sky. That is a priority of the state. I mean, keep in mind, the homelessness is skyrocketing in New York. People are out on the streets in droves. Inflation, the price of living, skyrocketing. People can't afford to live. Just getting a small bachelor apartment in New York City is astronomically expensive. No pun intended in this report. I mean, it says a lot about the priorities. Again, you have all this poverty and they focus on ways to take more of your freedom. And there's a reason for that, because government cannot exist and will not exist without the extortion of the masses, without the enslavement of the masses, without the servitude of the masses. This is the end point because it starts off small. It starts off with saying you need a driver's license, then you need a cat license, then you can't smoke on the streets, then we're going to ban pop, and we'll give you a little freedoms here and there. Oh, you can smoke pot again, but you have to pay the piper, you need to pay the government for it. Oh, and then it comes in and you can't look at the sky or use a metal detector without paying the state. The same entity that taxes people like over 50% of their income, causes all this poverty, prints this currency out of thin air, and then forces people to pay off the interest on the debt with their taxes, as well as paying for blowing up babies overseas. This entity that has caused millions of people to leave these states, California, New York, New Jersey, for places like Nevada, Arizona. We could see the same thing with Texas and Florida. People heading to these places because of the taxes, because of the regulations. And then unfortunately, all too many of them go there and then ask for those same things that cause them to leave their home states in the first place. It is insanity. They think that they're putting a Band-Aid on a situation, but it's a Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat for eternity. Good ideas don't require require force, government is organized crime, and this organized crime racket benefits most from extorting you. They cannot survive without extorting you. They don't want you to have freedom. They don't want you to benefit. They want you to be enslaved and dependent and weak and stupid. That's the only way they can survive. That's the only way they can actually unroll their complex further. They can't. The best thing for the state is for you to constantly give up more and more freedoms, and it's incremental over time, and before you know it, it's an incremental frog boil, and you don't even realize it's happened until it gets so out of control crazy that they are putting permits on looking at the sky, guys. I mean, this gets to the root of the evil that we call the state. This idea, democracy of two wolves and a sheep deciding what to have for dinner, 51%, extorting and controlling and enslaving the 49%. This notion that you have an idea so good that you can extort your neighbor. Well, it doesn't work that well the other way around. How would you like it if your neighbor voted in some criminals and they said, we're going to take 98% of your money? Well, the collective said it was a good thing. You know, the collective that gets brainwashed from television and goes to public school indoctrination camps, they say, well, it's a good thing. But then you get extorted. Well, why is it okay when you think you have a good idea to switch it around on them? Morally and logically, it isn't. Good ideas do not require force, and voluntary interactions are the most logical, moral ways to govern society via voluntary, shaking hands, free market, deciding things for your own life, deciding your own fate, being free, living free. Freedom is just responsibility. Freedom is just independence at the end of the day. And the Stockholm syndrome that we need to outdo the other guy. It's been going on since ancient Greece. It's been going on forever, back and forth, always hoping that you're going to win somehow by replacing this last guy with a new guy. Look, the leftist gets in, grows government hugely. Then the right-wing guy gets in, cuts government a bit, but not enough to outdo what the guy before him did on the left. Then a leftist gets in, grows government astronomically, and then another right-wing guy gets in and cuts it a little bit. It always grows, though. Don't you see that pattern? It's always growing. That's why fixing the problems of government with government does not work and will not work. It will never work. It comes down to individuals solving the problems, not putting out fire with kerosene. Even if it's kerosene light, it'll always end up the same way at the end of the day. Cancer cannot be cured by cutting 95% of a tumor out and purposely leaving 5% left and then expecting it to not grow. Government will always grow. Collectivism begets collectivism, and it'll go on for eternity. So I wanted to do a video on this today because I thought it was very important that people see this story, because this is a great example of how enslaved people are getting. And why are you taking it anymore? Why are you sitting there? What are you doing about it? Obviously, a lot of people are leaving New York. A lot of people are leaving California. But at the end of the day, this continues to happen. Continues to happen. How far will they go before you do something? They're pointing guns at your head, kidnapping you and throwing you in a cage if you don't get extorted and pay hard-earned money to the state that kills and murders kids all over the world. Millions of people dead by the US government in the last 20 years. And fraudulently prints currency out of thin air and then charges you the interest on the debt via a social contract that you never signed, but apparently you signed as a baby. It just goes on forever. At what point do people say, enough is enough, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore? And I've been waiting for a little bit of a murmur for a long time. There's definitely civil unrest around the world, but these things keep happening and people keep calling for the state to fix the state. And that's how freedom will die, with thunderous applause. Anyway, I appreciate everyone joining us today. Make sure to check those links below. Press like on this video. Comment on what you think about this crazy, crazy permit, among all the other crazy permits that are happening out there. It's just taxation is theft, government is organized crime. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Stop buying this nonsense. Free yourself, free your mind, free your money, and live by example, live freely. Obviously, this video will get demonetized, so make sure to check those links. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar, anything that helps keep Wham alive and independent media alive in general, so we can share this free information, because the censors don't want you to see this. They have cut us down 85%, shadow banning, not suggesting our videos to anyone, 85% since January last year. As Susan Wojcicki Tracy, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says she cut down controversial content, quote unquote, by 70%. It's way worse than that for us. 97% demonetized. We cannot do it without you. You are the people that will help spread free information far into the future, and we cannot do it without you. We're doing anything we can on our end, but we need you guys more than ever. Also, join us on flote.app, flote.app. That's the future of social media, replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one, with encrypted private messaging, monetization on videos, super chats, in crypto on live streams, no algorithm that will tell you what you can and cannot see. It is truly a great marvel in social media. We are at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham, W-A-M, on there. So come find us on there. Do what you can to help save us, and share this on social media, because you probably won't see this shared much around on YouTube, because YouTube doesn't like us all that much. So anyway, break free, good people. Don't be a slave. Don't revere those chains. Don't allow yourself to have Stockholm Syndrome. History tells us how that ends, and it's not a pretty story. Anyway, appreciate everyone joining us. A big shout out to the Free Thought Project as well. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here at Wham, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated, as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we can defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on flote.app. That's flote.app. at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, W-A-M. Flote.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Flote and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best Liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are 2 major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WHAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.